What is up guys, Fellow here, and before I get into this video I want to clarify a few things. Now I see you guys in the comments, and it's not a lot of you that comment this, but I just want to clarify and put it out there that I do see the feedback that you guys let me know in these videos, and I think it's important for me to talk about it and for me to consider them, as at the end of the day I care about what you guys think about the videos. And a lot of the time, especially nowadays, quality is over everything when it comes to these videos, because I myself believe in quality over quantity. I am trying my best to make it as perfect as possible. The second thing I wanted to point out is that I know that I've previously said that I was going to wait until I'm done all the main maps when it comes to doing DLC maps, but I kind of rethought about it, and I think that doing maps that people actually really enjoy. I hope you guys enjoy this over analyzing video about Rush, and now let's get into the map, Rush. For those who don't know, the map Rush it's essentially a paintball map. The factions are BI and the Mercs. Now by this time I would tell you guys the history behind this map and where it's located in the story, but like I said before in my previous videos, a lot of these DLC maps don't have a link whatsoever to the campaign or any other location, and it's more of like a fan service type of map. I tried to look up if there was any campaign missions that took place in Georgia, and there is no link to location whatsoever in the Black Ops 2 campaign, so we can already scratch that this map has nothing to do with the timeline of Black Ops 2. Now I want to start off at the spawn, as there is somewhat of a story being told. We look at the literally the front entrance, and there's police cars flipped over, smashed into a fence, and cars flipped over, a bunch of just cars like being rushed in, and we could tell the tire marks on the road, a bunch of police all over the place, more than literally the map Express when you think about it. As we make our way to the front registration, if we scope in inside, we can actually see inside. As I always say in my videos, impracticality, and I think that this over here is one of them. I mean, there's a huge sign that tells us that the field's closed, obviously, but at the same time we need to consider there's nothing stopping anyone from walking in there. The thing with paintballs is that they can blind you, and people could just accidentally get shot through here. I mean, there's no safety protocols or anything, and there doesn't seem to be any gate doors, so I would say right off the bat there's just kind of something that doesn't make sense. Now, making your way into the paintball shop, there's actually a lot of details in here. And right to our left as we walk in, there's actually a few magazines of reference to other Call of Duty maps. The first comic we have is, we could see it's the statue in Raid. Second is the grind map, the skateboard map, the sports cars that we see in a few maps, but it's very notable in the map Raid. And here we have the map Uphill. Now this is just kind of a pretty standardized paintball shop. It's what you would expect: a lot of paintballs, a lot of different merchandises, a lot of equipment, a lot of accessories for you to go on the field with. These two companies will be something that we'll see a lot in these maps, especially a lot of the DLC ones. We'll notice them a lot. Now before we get into the actual arena and the actual field, there's obviously an office where they monitor the games. What's really cool about this is that it breaks down the map in all the 5 different sectors. Right now we're in the pro shop, but next to that we're in the arena, and then obviously we have the big field, which is the airsoft field, which I find pretty cool, and an overlooked detail that this is not only paintball but also airsoft. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I never knew that there was an airsoft field or slash arena in this map. I thought it was just strictly paintball because of the name. Now we know that this is a control center for lights and music and overall the speakers. I mean, it's a crazy amount of buttons, pretty well detailed, and obviously we could tell that they probably look at the players on the screen over here and as well. Now one of the most interesting things for me about this map is the Speedball Championship banners, and as you can see, this map goes all the way to from 2033 to 2036. We could assume this map takes place during the year 2036, as no years after that confirmed, and that's the latest date. The arena is a pretty standardized arena. I didn't really pick up anything too crazy about the main play area. Obviously it's supposed to be a paintball. There's a lot of different cover spots. It won't be the last that we see are the impossible places to get to. Impracticality plays a role again in this map, meaning that how is one supposed to get here? We could obviously assume that they brought up like a crane to help them. How do you get up there, and how do you get down? Next to that we have the viewing area, which now we could assume that this is a town of some sort, as we have a sign that says bank, factory, and warehouse. And I mean, this isn't anything that's new to paintball or new to airsoft fields whatsoever, as paintball arenas and airsoft arenas always build off of buildings and houses, so this isn't anything too crazy. There's probably some sort of competition from July 15th to the 17th, yet it doesn't tell us the exact year, but we could assume that it's probably 2036, July 15th to the 17th. Now the one thing I find really cool about the side of this map is it actually shows the angles that people would shoot at. Now for example, if we look at this ramp here, all smothered on this area compared to up here or on this side to the top as well. We could see that people probably accidentally shot their gun on the wall by trying to shoot someone down this way, and then obviously this wall. And the same thing can be said with all these corners over here. I mean, it just shows us the clear indication of how people would play paintball and how people would use the sides and cover as their strategy. In terms of this area having crazy detail, I mean, the only thing I would take away from this upstairs area, the fact that obviously there's two windows that you can fight across, but also the different angles that people would shoot. Again, in terms of this being a city, it tells us that this tunnel is a subway entrance. If we use this board to do parkour on, it's actually a hotel sign, meaning that there's a building. Now in this room next to us, it's actually a staff room. There's nothing too crazy, just a bunch of lockers. Funny enough that this box, the Pew Pew paintballs, are something that we'll actually see again in later reviews. Now coming back to the front, I kind of decided to look at the poster a little bit more, and as we could see that obviously it gives us the advertisement for the event that's happening on July 15th to the 17th, but also on this one next to it, the Call of Duty website for more information, which I find is a pretty cool detail for them to add. Now we can confirm that this paintball field is open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday to Friday, and then from 11 to 6 p.m. from Saturday to Sunday. Now this bus is one that we'll definitely see a lot in Call of Duty, as it's kind of like the main transport bus used across all these different Call of Duty maps for the public. Now one thing I find very interesting about this map is when we look around, everything is obviously shot by paintballs, and what I find very interesting is this right here doesn't seem to have any sort of paintballs on it, meaning is it something that was recently put here? Is this why the mercs are here? Is this why the FBI is here? Something was placed here and they're trying to get to it. Now going into theater mode gives us a better perspective of what's going on outside of the map, better perspective of this area. I would say we can actually see outside of it. It's actually pretty well detailed. I mean, these are inaccessible places and even places you can't even see through, so I find it pretty cool that they have details, but I do find it quite impractical that there is single-handedly no door whatsoever to get into this area. I don't want to mention it every time, but it is an overanalyzing map. How do you get up here? Realistically, how do you get up here? I mean, there's no sign of ladder other than this tower here, but again, it doesn't link to this platform. So I just find it really interesting that a lot of these places on this map have inaccessible places unless you get lifted up. But again, it does add some sort of life. I like that they add these types of details and they just don't leave it blankly empty, meaning that it helps us somewhat tell the narrative of what this place is. I mean, it is a paintball arena, but it is a competitive one, as the flags do tell us that this is a competitive and that there's championships, and these cameras further explain that this is something that's popular in its mainstream, as there's a lot of these professional cameras that they use for TV. I mean, they're all scattered all over the place, even outside of the map. Now, we know from the inside poster that it did tell us that this round area is actually the airsoft field. One thing that does tell us that it's not paintball is by not seeing any paintball stains whatsoever on the buildings. Now, looking outside of the map, I find it really interesting how the roads work in this map. Obviously, we have a parking lot, then all it does is that it circles around to this thing that looks like a main road. However, the main road cuts off, connects with this back road over here, which, I mean, it's obviously impractical, but we have no way of actually seeing that it does that. I mean, by looking at the angles, it doesn't show this back corner whatsoever. Everything is invisible to us. I do, however, like that they did put in the background a city that it does somewhat not make it feel like it's empty, and then when we look to the right, we actually see mountains in the background, and then obviously we see more mountains that are actually rendered in Dirty Lake as well. One thing we can say that's impractical is this power line being in the middle of a road. I do like how well detailed that this parking lot it kind of is. I mean, there's literally no other car than cops, meaning that this paintball field is most likely closed. I mean, we have 3 random vehicles that are here. We can probably assume that it belongs to the mercs, if anything. I mean, who else? How else would they have gone here? Now, one of the things that I would say I mainly picked up on was the fact that this screen literally has a plane on it, meaning that this is one of those computer screens that have military details. And I mean, for a paintball arena, I mean, hey, now at first I was gonna say that this is kind of like a random room that's dark with nothing, but funny enough, we could see these staircases that actually bring you to the viewing area. Now obviously we know that there are championships from obviously the banners, but also these trophies that are displayed here. From 2025 to 2027, they remained undefeated. Now, one thing that I almost actually overlooked was this specific poster that's inside of the shop as well. Now, if we look at it, it tells us that there's an autograph session, but where it's located is at the Nuketown Mall, which we've never seen a Nuketown Mall, and I find that's a very interesting detail, and I never knew this detail until I made this overanalyzing video. Probably assume that most likely in April, as they're advertising something, it wouldn't make sense for them to advertise something that's next year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed enjoyed making this map, as it's one of my favorites from Black Ops 2, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite map as well. Now comment down below which DLC map you'd like for me to do next. Until next time, stay smart.